Hey all, we are taking a look at the urinary system. We're going to take a look at this in two videos, and in this video we're going to first go over the gross anatomy of the urinary system. So where does it all start? Of course it starts with the kidneys. We have two kidneys, one on either side. How do you find it within a whole body? It's within the abdominal pelvic cavity, but it's not within the peritoneal cavity. So these are intraperitoneal organs like the liver and the stomach, the transverse colon, the jejunum and ileum. Now we have retroperitoneal organs like the ascending and descending colon, the duodenum and the pancreas. So let's remove that. It's even behind all of that, posterior to all of that. There we have our two kidneys. Adrenal gland sitting on top. Adrenal literally means on top of kidney. Adrenal or suprarenal. We have the renal artery delivering blood to the kidneys, extending from the abdominal aorta, and the renal vein returning blood from the kidney to the inferior vena cava. You can see this cross section here, or frontal section rather. Surrounding the kidney is a fibrous capsule. This region here where you have the renal artery entering, the renal vein exiting, as well as the ureter. This is the ureter exiting. This is called the hilum. We saw hilum in the lungs where you have all these blood vessels and tubes, airways entering and exiting. Same idea. You have things entering and exiting the kidney. That's the hilum. The outer layer, besides the fibrous capsule, the actual tissue of the kidney, the outer layer is the cortex, where you see these little triangle-ish structures. It's actually better shown here, where you see these triangular structures. This is the medulla. So cortex and medulla. And you'll find different structures in the cortex and medulla. It'll be really important for its function. When we take a look later at different models like this one here or this one here, it's showing the outer capsule, cortex, and then this part is medulla. This part of the medulla is called a renal pyramid. It's triangular shaped, the pyramid, and the tip of it is the papilla, renal papilla. And so you can see the tip here and the tip here. This is where the urine gets drained into the collecting tubes, I shouldn't call it that, into the urinary tract, from the kidney to the urinary tract. It exits out the renal papilla. In between each papilla, you've got blood vessels going up and down. That is called the renal column. So renal column is where we get blood entering and exiting to the cortex. When urine exits out of a papilla, it gets to a minor calyx. These are minor calyces, so touching the papilla. The minor calyces converge to form a major calyx. So here's a major calyx, major calyx, major calyx. And they all collect into this main area right by the hilum. That's the renal pelvis. Renal pelvis. And the renal pelvis exits to the ureter. All these things, minor calyx, major calyx, renal pelvis, ureter, and even the urinary bladder, they're all made with transitional epithelium. I'll show you one another model. Here we have our kidney, cortex, renal pyramid, renal column, the tip of the pyramid, renal papilla, minor calyx, major calyx, so minor calyx, major calyx, renal pelvis. Urine collects in the renal pelvis, drains out the ureter, one on either side of course. There is smooth muscle in the ureter to propel the urine forward. Down to the pelvic cavity, you can see here's the iliac crest on either side, so we're in the pelvic cavity. Into the true pelvis over here, because it's the pelvic brim, and connecting to the urinary bladder. Urinary bladder has a lot of smooth muscle, also made of transversal epithelium. The smooth muscle is known as Detrusor muscle, and the region where the ureter empties is the trigon area. And then from the bladder, we exit out the urethra. This model specifically is showing male anatomy because the prostate is right on the back, or the prostate is right on the back, as well as the prostate. Prostate's on the back of the bladder right here. You can see the urethra and the prostate right here. For female anatomy, you can see here's the uterus. The uterus is sitting on top of the bladder. That's why if you are pregnant, you have a baby weighing down on your bladder, you have to go to the bathroom all the time. Excuse me. So we have, again, the ureter exiting down. Going around, here's the ovaries, going around that, and it'll enter into the bladder. So this is the bladder down here. Here's the uterus. Cross-section will help, or mid-sagittal section rather. It's a mid-sagittal section of female anatomy. This is the rectum and anus. This is the uterus and vagina. This is the urinary bladder. So here's the urinary bladder, urethra out. For male anatomy, I can show that over here. Let's take this out. You can see the bladder right here. Here's the bladder. And you can see here's the ductus deferens, that's the male reproductive anatomy. Ductus deferens and the prostate will contribute to developing semen. But we're looking at the urinary system. So here's a urinary bladder. Testes are down here. Urinary bladder, urethra, here's the prostate. Urethra goes through the prostate for males, through the penis and out. Here's one more model showing all that. This is from a posterior view. Whoops. Posterior view, you can see the pubis right here. So here's a descending aorta, renal arteries to the kidneys, and then here you can see the renal pelvis and ureter exiting down, storing urine in the bladder, in the urinary bladder. These little cutoff tubes, excuse me, these cutoff tubes are the ductus deferens coming from the epididymis and the testes. And then these are, and down here is our prostate. These are seminal glands and prostate of the male reproductive system. On the anterior side, oh God. On the anterior side, here we go. You've got, again, the adrenal gland, renal artery from the descending aorta, renal vein going to the inferior vena cava. Got your minor calyx coming from the pyramid, minor calyx, major calyx, renal pelvis is hiding. Renal columns, renal pyramids, cortex. And there you can see the bladder. We can open this up, maybe. There we go. We can open this up, take a look inside the bladder. This is from a posterior view again. There's that trigon area, it's triangular, exiting to the urethra. This is male specifically, since we see the prostate and all that. Here's the inside of the other one. There's a sphincter out of the urinary bladder for both males and females, intersex. There's two sphincters. There's the internal urethral sphincter and external urethral sphincter, found right here at the base of between the bladder, urinary bladder, and urethra. The internal urethral sphincter much like the internal anal sphincter, is autonomic. It's automatically controlled. We don't have to think about it. It's a reflex, parasympathetic reflex, while the external urethral sphincter is skeletal muscle, and we can control that. We can hold it in if we wanted to. All right, I believe that's it. Thanks for watching. In another video, we will go over, it's really messy here, we'll go over the nephrons, the specific tubes that you find that make up the kidney. Because a kidney really is just a whole bunch of tubes, like the internet. All right, thanks for watching. Take care.